is going on, SHIPIT Nation YouTube station? Got your Friday crew here. I got my guy Ham with me. It's Masters Week Friday. It's Masters Friday. I mean, everything's just Masters. Absolutely love it out there. Love to be able to sweat that tournament out coming into the weekend here. But first things first, Ham, we got a 13-game slate, baseball slate here on this Cut Sweat Friday as well for the Masters. I mean, we got a great night of sports ahead of us here. Huge pay-per-view MMA card, if I'm not mistaken, tomorrow. Our guy Hoop was subbing in for Marley with Title right here on this channel for the MMA show there. So we got a loaded weekend of sports ahead of us, but a nice whopping 12-game slate now to kick us off, as that Toronto-Baltimore game did just get waxed off the slate and postponed. What's up, man? Happy Friday. How we doing, brother?
Yeah, happy Friday. I was watching a little bit of that Masters. You got my boy Big Dick Bryson cutting up. Rory making a roar. Scotty Scheffler's in the mix. Man, it's gonna be a good weekend. Watching those, just the big boys battle all weekend. But yeah, a lot of games to talk through. I think you said 12 is what we're gonna get through now. So yeah, can't wait to do that. I've been crushing it over here, finishing up NBA. NBA, pretty much set in stone on the East. You got the West, they're still rocking and rolling over there. But yeah, let's break it all down.
Yeah, let's break it all down. We got Little Neck in here, Lyle, Kenny, Michael Peterson, Stoner, Taco Todd. Stoner's not happy with Ham with the old stash. I'm trying to get the old stash.
Take it over.
I'm trying to get the old stash rocking like Ham. Nothing like that. I mean, I haven't ever grown really a stash out, so I figured out why not? Let's give it a little shot, right? It's baseball season. Maybe I'll cut the old little lamb chops here and just get the old Saturday Night Ride action rocking, right, with the old little stash there. But yeah, let's jump right into it here. Our guy Rio in the chat. I mean, that dude just continues to print money. Must be nice being out there in Cali, right? Just living the best life ever, shipping every sport you touch, right? I mean, this dude could literally jump in a League of Legends slate, I think, in the middle of the night and clean house there. So tough life out there for Rio, my guy. But yeah, let's jump in here. I'm going to go ahead and pull up Saber here, and we're going to take a look at the dry run first here, Ham, because I think it's pretty interesting here. So I ran a dry run sorted by projected score here. I have 150 lineups on just to kind of get us an idea of what the slate's giving us here. And when I filter by pitchers, I mean, filter by exposure here, you see this 96.7, right? That's 145 out of 150 teams. The optimizer just blindly running it, right? I have it set kind of like how most tournament players would, right? If they were just coming in here and trying to get good teams, right, from our partner over here at Saber. I only allowed 5-2 stacks or 5-man stacks and then 4-3 and 4-4. Just kind of the common ones, just to kind of give us an idea of what the slate's looking like here off the top. Pivetta, almost 97% of teams. Then it drops down to Blanco, DeGrom, Newcomb, Miller, Bradley, Yamamoto, Robbie Ray, Erod, and Reese Olson down here at the bottom, which I kind of like quite a bit here. Lefty going against the Brewers, coming out of Coors Field, and then Reese Olson picking on this Twins team there in pretty good pitching weather and a decent ballpark there to pitch in for the Tigers. So what's your kind of broad slate overview here when you see this off the top? Before we kind of jump in, I'll take a look at the team stacks, and then we'll go tier-based by pitching. But what's your kind of broad slate overview here off the top?
My broad slate overview is you got 145 teams that have a chance to win and 5 that don't. Nick Pivetta, great play tonight. He gets to face this Rockies team. I mean, it's what's that old saying? Wash, rinse, repeat with those Rockies on the road, getting them out of that thin air. Nick Pivetta, big strikeout arm. So, I mean, obviously, he's going to be popular and rightfully so. Then at the top, above them, we got some other big names to talk about, right? We got DeGrom coming off his, pitch count limitations, if you will. Started out at 75. I think he got up to 85 in his second start. If he can get to 85 again, should have another good night. I mean, obviously he didn't do well the other night against the Rays. I think that was more of a one-off than anything. But, man, I feel like I talk about it a lot. I mean, outside of, 4 or 5 pitchers, I mean, it's a lot of second tier, third tier, 4 tier type pitchers. And so what does that mean? That means these offenses are going to be popping off when we get to the sticks. There's a ton of offenses I like tonight. So to me, it's pay up at pitcher. And then value bats and some of the big boys when you're getting in those stacks That's the way I'm looking at it. Not sure if you're looking at it that way as well or not.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just start. The chalk pairing right now is going to be a 5-man Met stack out there in that Sacramento park. That's just, I think it's gone over the total all but one game. And go figure, the game that I stack it up, right? The slate that I stack it up is the one that it's like 2-1, right? Final score. Every other game has been like 27 runs, which is fun to see. So poor Nades there stacking it up. But the chalk pairing tonight for sure is Pivetta and then 5 Mets, as you can see here by the dry run. So I do think it's kind of interesting here. If you're playing the Mets, number one, we'll talk about that when we get to bats, kind of going to the back half of the lineup, maybe not using a Pivetta and pivoting to like a DeGrom, who's going to be significantly lower owned, who I like quite a bit, and then using a spin down, SP2 option, like a Reese Olson, something like that to get a better, secondary stack is kind of an interesting route, but 5-man stacks. I mean, it's Mets 102 of those 150 teams. Then it's Boston, Washington, Tampa, and then kind of nobody else really. So from a 5-man stack perspective, Mets clear cut, far and away the chalkiest team on the slate for good reason, right? They're facing a fly ball pitcher out there in Sacramento in that good ballpark there. And I mean, you can afford them, right? You can afford them on this slate. So I think it sets up pretty good when we actually get to offenses. You said you like quite a few offenses. I think there's a decent amount of offenses personally, but I overall kind of like the late offenses, right? I like the Mets. I like some of those teams late, and it's just not, you think pitching is just pretty gross in general, what you kind of set off the top, that naturally offense is just going to be really good. And that's just not the case because, again, it's April 11th here. Weather across the country is still not great. We don't have great hitting environments on the slate, and that's going to be kind of a common theme. It's been a common theme throughout the start of the season here, and you've seen it, right? I've got latched into playing bad parks, playing bad weather games, like, right, stacking up Boston in 40-degree weather, things like that. No matter how juicy the matchup is, the ball just doesn't fly in cold weather, right? Especially if there's wind coming in. So that's definitely going to be a talking point of this slate. Ham, let's go ahead and jump back over here. I'm going to sort by pitching projections here. I got everybody in here, and we're going to go 8K and above. Number one, I want to throw out Pivetta and DeGrom, two guys at the top that I have a ton of interest in. And then Taj Bradley is another one, and Bryce Miller. Those are kind of the guys I'm looking at there. And then I mentioned Erod a little bit just due to matchups, right? Lefties against this Brewers team, especially coming out of Coors. I love to pick on teams coming out of Coors. The first game out of Coors, Brewers did score a boatload of runs, right, in Coors Field. Not quite as many yesterday as the night before, right, when they were scoring double digits. They got shut down a little bit last night or yesterday afternoon. Now they travel down to Arizona, right, to face Erod, who's a decent pitcher, 8,100 for him, virtually unowned, I'm seeing on the slate. So at the top tier, it's DeGrom, Pivetta, and Bradley, I think, that are going to soak up the ownership, as you can see here. And then anybody else up in this upper tier, for the most part, is going to be significantly lower owned than what Pivetta and DeGrom are going to be.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I mean, to me, it's Pivetta, clear-cut number one pitcher for me on today's slate, taking on this Rockies team, striking out almost 29% versus right-handed pitching on the season. They don't hit fly balls. They don't hit home runs. They have a high swinging strike. They're just bad all the way around offense, and you get them outside of Coors. So give me Pivetta as my SP1 on tonight's slate. Number two for me would be the aforementioned Taj Bradley. You said it, this Braves offense has been anemic all season. They're striking out 26% of the time against righties on this short season. So he would be number two for me. And then it's Yamamoto for me. I think Yamamoto has pitched solid all season long. I think his floor is right around 15, ceiling right around 25, 26. He's pitched 3 times this year. His lowest point total of the season is 19 points. I think he can get that again tonight. Like you said, lower owned if you wanted to get different in the tournament. I think the spin-ups would be him and DeGrom, obviously, from Pivetta, if you wanted to go that route. And then I don't know, are we going to 8,000 or are we laying off 8,000?
Yeah, 8K and above.
Yeah, I mean, Robbie Ray, I mean, obviously you got the Bronx Bombers, right? They could end your night very fast if the bad things go. We all know Robbie Ray's, I guess, ups and downs, if you will. But when Robbie Ray is on, he can K out 10. He can K 10 with the best of them. He would be kind of a sleeper pick at 8K. That's a little bit too much to pay, in my opinion. But if you wanted to get different in a tournament, say do, I don't know, 5 teams out of 150, I don't think it's the worst thing either.
Yeah, I agree with you pretty much in tandem to what you're saying. I will hit on your point about Robbie Ray. Number one, when do you play Robbie Ray is when he's not chalk. He's not going to be chalk tonight. He's facing New York. The game's in Bronx, right? In the Bronx, in the Bronx Bombers. I will say that is the only game on the entire slate that does have weather concerns. Now that the Toronto-Baltimore game did get cut off and postponed, Kevin Roth has it tagged as orange. Light showers around first pitch, so they're going to be playing off and on rain. If there's a delay, that's going to shoot Robbie Ray right in the foot. I mean, he's not going to come back out after any sort of delay unless it's a really short delay or something like that. Any extended delay, which could very well happen in that game, Robbie Ray is going to be probably shelved, and it's going to turn into a bullpen game. If there was no weather concerns on this 12-game slate, I think I'd have a lot more interest in Robbie Ray in tournaments here. I just don't think that you need to take the risk on a 13-game slate, 12-game slate now as the only game on the slate with weather issues. I would say it is good pitching weather there. 15 to 20 mile an hour winds blowing in. It's cold. But again, the temperatures were like that opening weekend for the Yankees, and they scored 900 runs, right? So it's kind of the tale of two tapes there. Robbie Ray has pitched really good against this Yankees lineup as well, owns about a 30% K rate. With this current roster and 44 plate appearances. So I do like your take in MME. I want Axum in main teams. I think it's a little too risky for me. So I'm going to talk there. I do think in MME he's a good option. I agree with you at the top. Pivetta SP1 for sure on the slate. I like the DeGrom pivot. If you can get to DeGrom and Pivetta in your teams, kind of like you're seeing over here, I think that's a great way to build. If I can pair them where I can afford it, I love it. DeGrom and Pivetta, even DeGrom with the pinch concerns there, he still has a ton of strikeout upside, and he's got the Stone Nut matchup. The ballpark in Seattle, best ballpark for pitchers. It's also one of the best lineups to target for strikeouts, and DeGrom is not his old self, but he's still one of the best pitchers in the league for K upside there, even in limited pitches. So I love DeGrom. He's my overall SP1 on the slate. Pivetta is right there close to him. Taj Bradley, I like. The only issue that's scaring me a little bit with Taj Bradley is, number one, he's a fly ball guy. Number two, it's really good weather out there in Tampa, and it's the best hitting park on the slate, if not one of them, behind maybe out in Sacramento, right, where Oakland plays, or the Athletics play, I should say. I do think he's a great option. I like him in tournaments. It's just the only thing that's kind of limiting me to kind of shoving in on him is the weather and the ballpark there and being a fly ball guy. Does he have strikeout upside? Absolutely. Is this Braves team have a lot of strikeouts throughout the start of the season? Absolutely. So I'm kind of on the fence with Bradley for main team purposes, but in me, I definitely get it. And then the other guy that I have interest in is Bryce Miller. Just due to ballpark and matchup on this Texas team scuffling a little bit at the plate. I still think he has upside there, and the price is right. The matchup's good. And then, like I said, I already hit on Erod. So for me up here, I'm out on Yamamoto. I just don't think you need to go there and pick on this offense there for the Cubs that is really good right now, and it is actually really good hitting weather out there in LA for a change, which usually isn't the case. But again, it's early in the year. I'm tapping into solid ballparks and good weather, right? I'll play pitching from spots that are colder weather and just not great ballparks and good matchups, right? So for me, Yamamoto doesn't make the cut. It's DeGrom, it's Pivetta, Taj Bradley, Bryce Miller, and Erod are kind of the main guys I'm focusing on. And then the only other guy I would include in MME would be Robbie Ray, just for I do think he has upside with that weather. Just hope the game kind of plays off and on light drizzle and there's no delay. Otherwise, like I said, he's probably not coming back. Jumping down below 8K, I do think for a change, we do have cheap options on the slate that we can go to and actually like quite a bit of them. Not quite a bit, but I actually have more interest in the lower tier than I typically have. Reese Olson, I want you to talk on, and then any other guys you have down here. I think Mitchell Parker's kind of interesting. So for me, it's kind of Reese Olson far and away my favorite cheap option on the slate. Mitchell Parker kind of right there behind him. From an ownership standpoint, really nobody down here besides Sean Newcomb really getting ownership, double-digit ownership, where really matters. But again, 12-game slate ownership should spread out enough that don't really think down here you really even have to worry about ownership. But any guys below 8K, quite a few guys down here. I don't think many make the cut for me, but there is a couple.
I thought I was going to be sneaky, but everybody in the chat already knows the play down here, and that's my boy David Festa down at 6,500 taking on this Tigers team. He's my favorite. I mean, you want me to talk on Reese Olson? It's going to be a quick talk, Nades, because there's not much to say. I think Reese Olson, that's one of your plays, worst play on the slate. Is Reese Olson. Mitchell Parker, 7,900. No thank. I mean, it's bad down here, Nades. I mean, Newcomb, I guess, is fine because he's playing the White Sox, but man, that's risky to play him. That could blow up in your face. But yeah, it's Festa for me. He's my favorite. Newcomb, just strictly from a just a price and matchup perspective, but I don't know. I mean, Dean Martin. No, I mean, are you playing Reese Olson? I don't think he's a good play.
I'll put a little Hundy spot on it. Reese Olson versus your boy David Festa straight up. I'll tell you that right now. I memean, Festa's a good play, but to say Reese Olson's the worst play on the slate is wild to me. I mean, we're talking about the Twins offense here. I mean, it's in the exact same game. I'll take you points per dollar upside. 1-for-1. Who scores more? Olson versus Festa. I'm taking Olson. You can have Festa. We'll come back on Monday and we'll let the have a little explanation one way or the other for the chat there. So I'm on Reese Olson. I like him quite a bit. Ham said he's the worst player in the slate, right next to Sean Newcomb. I think those are two wildly hot takes there. I don't like a chalky Newcomb, but if you need a punt at 6,300 to fit in the bats, I think he's fine. I'd rather play Festa right there for $200 more. I agree with you there. I'm in tandem and lockstep there. But I have Reese Olson, my favorite pitcher, below 8K. Mitchell Parker, I have some interest in. But if I'm going to Mitchell Parker, I'd rather just find $200 and get up to Erod, to be honest, personally. If I'm coming down here, I'm going down to 7,100 or below. Reese Olson, Festa, and then Newcomb are kind of the three guys that I focus on down here. I do think Mitchell Parker does have upside. I just don't know. I'd rather find the couple $100 to get up to an Erod, get up to a Robbie Ray, a Bryce Miller, something like that. Go ahead and give the people your top 5 pitchers on the slate, and then we will jump over to the Stone and walk through hitters game by game.
I'm gonna go Pivetta 1, Bradley 2, Yamamoto 3. We didn't really touch on Bryce Miller. I don't hate Bryce Miller at Texas. I won't. But then yeah, down low it's Festa for me would be number 5 as the cheap. But that's kind of it for me. And then my wild card would be Robbie Ray. If you were playing, I would say 10 plus teams, maybe 20 teams. You could squeeze Ray into 1 or 2 for a GPP. But that's it.
I mean, the dude's making hot takes like that and then not even listening to me give takes because I talked about Bryce Miller a decent amount. So I'm on board with Bryce Miller there. My rankings, DeGrom number 1, Pivetta number 2. I'm going to go Reese Olson number 3, salary considered. I really like him. Taj Bradley is probably going to be my 4th option. And then it's a toss-up between Erod and Festa. I'll give another cheaper guy. So that's kind of where I'm going. I got about 6 pitchers that I'm kind of mainly focused on. Going to play with the Sims and run teams and kind of see what works with what when we're kind of diving in here. I would say I'm not playing Pivetta and the Mets together. I'll tell you that. I do like the Mets offense quite a bit. I'm just not going to play Pivetta with the Mets. It's just not the way I play tournaments. It's clear cut, the quote unquote, the most optimal way, right? It's the most optimal build there is, right? You see the optimizers. We showed you the dry run. That's just not the way I'm going to do it. Because when you go that way, you're against so many more similar combinations and you have to hit everything perfect. So not the way I'm going to go, but I will say I like them all in general. I just don't want to pair those guys together mainly. Let's jump over here to the Stone, share this tab, and we're going to talk game by game. Ham, first game on the slate, Braves and the Rays. I think this is a good one. Bryce Elder, we didn't mention him at all. I think he's the more likely guy that people want to pick on here in this spot. I personally don't mind picking on him. If I were to pick one side of this game, it's definitely on the Rays side. This offense has some power. It has some speed throughout it. I like some of these lefties in particular against Elder, Brandon Lau, Aranda, Cameron Misner, Jake Mangum down here. I like those got lefties. And then adding guys like Yandy Diaz, Caminero, who's coming off a grand slam, Christopher Morel, who can always has a ton of power, get the ball up in the air. I don't mind some of these Rays. Like I said, it's one of the better environments on the slates. There's 14-mile-an-hour winds blowing straight out to center. It's 77 degrees. So now that I see that, I'm probably completely off of Bradley, to be honest, as well. I just don't think you need to go here with the other games on the slate. Ballpark Pal has it almost a 20% boost for home runs here, and I'm just not seeing ownership as of late kind of trickle to these teams. So in tournaments, I like this game quite a bit, especially at the ownership, and this would be my pivot off of that Oakland game that we're going to talk about later.
Yeah, I'll keep it short here. No Braves, full stacks. I don't mind an Azuna or an Olsen one-off would be the only place I would go. And then those Rays, yeah, they're all right. Morel, Diaz, Lau, whatever you want to say it. It'd be more minis for me. They just don't have enough power for me, Nate, so I wouldn't be full stacking them, but minis are okay with those three I just mentioned.
Yeah, I mean, I play ballparks, I play weather, and I play that's especially early in the year, and I'm giving a bump to both of these teams. I already had interest in the Rays. They made the slate plan over at ShipItNation.com. If you remember, you can read my write-up there. Said pretty much most of what I just said there. And I actually have more interest in some of these Braves because I do think Bradley picks up a decent amount of ownership. We do have him ranked as our number one pitcher with our proprietary formula that kind of ranks the pitchers based on data and metrics and the different stats here. As you can see, right, the Braves, not good, Bob, right? Based on this is a lot of red here. That's hence why Bradley is ranking out so good. He's also a solid real-life pitcher. But again, he does have fly ball concerns. And looking at this Atlanta offense, I mean, just between this year and last year, fly ball rates, everybody on the team besides three, Sean Murphy, Arcia, and Harris, all have almost a 30% or higher fly ball rate. That's pretty good in 14, 15-mile-an-hour winds blowing straight out, 70 degrees in a Cracker Jack Park. I'll take my chances on guys like Ozuna, De La Cruz, Riley, Kelenic, Albies, Matt Olson. I don't know if I get there in a 5-man, but certainly 2- and 3-man stacks, I like them a lot. 5-man, I think, is also viable. They're going to have no ownership. Everyone's kind of swore this team off. And, hey, everybody was playing the Braves a ton last year, right? They were chalk more times than they weren't. So I still think they have enough here in the conditions to hit some home runs here and give us upside in tournaments. Next game on the slate, the only weather game to worry about here. Kevin Roth, like you said, 15 to 20-mile-an-hour winds blowing in. Temperatures are not good in New York as well here. I think it's a decent enough real-life pitcher, right? I'd have more interest if the weather wasn't a concern, right, with Robbie Ray. And then Stroman, not really a guy I like. You could grab a one-off, I guess, against him. Guys like Yastrzemski, who's batting leadoff here tonight. Jung-Ho Lee, who just puts the ball in play, doesn't really K. He has some stolen base upside here. But really, I'm kind of fading this game in general and just hoping it doesn't kill me because of the weather, and it's just not great hitting conditions in New York there. Obviously, you could play Judge. He doesn't care what the temperature is, right? He can hit the ball out of any stadium he plays in. But I do think he picks up some ownership, just name recognition alone. What do you think here?
Yeah, I mean, it's the Yankees power righties. Obviously, Judge leading the way there. Stroman, not a very good pitcher, as you can tell, right? But Goldie leading off, I don't hate that, right? If you're not playing any Rays teams, I don't think I'm going to full stack this Giants team. I know they've been better this year to start the season offensively, but man, those are some tough names. Your boy Adames, no thank you there. So yeah, it's one-off Judge or one-off Goldschmidt for me, and that's it.
I will say weather alone will keep Judge's ownership in check, and anytime you can get a 5 to 10% owned Aaron Judge on any slate, right? I do think he has. I mean, I think it's a viable play. I mean, he has some of the most upside in baseball, right? Because he's going to steal bases as well. Not quite as much as Ohtani, because Ohtani just swipes almost every time. But Again, it's the weather. It's 43 degrees, double-digit wind blowing straight in. It's just not the most ideal conditions, and I'm a side more into conditions and park, especially early on in the season, like I said. So for me, this game is pretty much a clear fade. Aaron Judge would probably be the only guy I would even really consider in tournaments more as a one-off. Toronto and Blue Jays is not on the slate, so do not play any of those guys in that game. Takes us to Miami. Cabrera, Mitchell Parker, two decent enough real-life pitchers. Cabrera does have control issues that can lead to a lot of runs at times. CJ Abrams, James Wood, two good guys to keep in your pool. Dylan Cruz, I think. Outside of that, not really stacking. Terrible ballpark here. Decent enough real-life arms. Only interest I would have would be on the Nats, more as a one-offs. Like I said, CJ Abrams, Garcia, James Wood are kind of the three guys that I would potentially look at, and then maybe a Dylan Cruz as a value in the outfield there.
Yeah, I would agree with you. No Marlin stacks for me. I do have a little bit of respect for Mitchell Parker. It would be the lefties for me on the Nats, which they're trotting out a bunch of those tonight. Abrams, my boy James Wood, not bad plays. And then kind of my sneaky guy in this Nats team, if you need a one-off second baseman, Luis Garcia batting 6th tonight. I don't mind Luis Garcia against Edward Cabrera.
Yeah, Luis Garcia. All right. Let me just pull up the weather here.
It's a dome.
Yeah, dome. Sorry. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, Mitchell Parker, I think I probably slot Mitchell Parker in above Taj Bradley just because you get the salary savings and it's the ballpark, right? I mean, we always love playing pitchers in Miami there, and looking at these numbers, Miami's just not good against left-handed pitching, right? They don't have our guy Jake Berger, right, who we played a ton last year on Miami against a lefty. They just don't have it, right? So I think Mitchell Parker, now looking at it, I actually slide him into my slide him up in my pitcher rankings. Matchups, we always have picked on Miami all season long, and pitchers against them have been chalk, especially I'm thinking back to when the Mets just played them, right? Every start for the Mets, the opposing starting pitchers have been mega chalk. Mitchell Parker's not looking like that. I mean, we have him projected sub 5% right now. Do I think that comes up a little bit? Probably when people start building teams, but I just don't think he's going to get ownership to worry. And I do think it's a really good matchup here for him. So I have a little bit more interest in Mitchell Parker than initially anticipated when we broke down pitching here. And like I said, I'm downgrading Bradley a little bit more and upgrading Mitchell Parker. Next game on the slate, Red Sox and the White Sox here. Boston, I do think, is one of the more popular stacks on the slate. At least that's what Saber was showing us when we did the dry run here. They were number 2 right there behind the Mets. Not the greatest weather here in Chicago. I'll be driving down there right after the show and kind of making it down there right around game time. Temperatures in the mid-40s. Not a ton of wind, but some slight wind kind of blowing straight across the field. It's not really a great hitting environment, but again, Davis Martin has just absolutely been atrocious. I think I would sign up and play you, Ham, at your current state against Davis Martin here, and maybe you could hit one out. But these Red Sox, man, again, away from Fenway, picking up ownership here. Do I think they're solid plays? Yeah. Do I love it? No. Again, I talked about getting sucked into the Red Sox when they're playing in terrible conditions there in Fenway. And they crapped the bed, even against guys like drawing a blank on the Toronto starter who just played against them, Bassett, right? Bassett was broken in his first 2 starts, comes out here in crappy weather and just absolutely mows through this Red Sox lineup. Do I think Davis Martin's going to do that? No. So I do have more interest in the Red Sox against him, just strictly due to the matchup, the bad bullpen behind him. But at this ownership, in this ballpark, in these conditions, I don't love it personally, but what do you see here? Chicago and Boston.
Yeah, for me, it's the Boston righties more than the lefties is where I would prioritize. So that gives me Bregman, that gives me Story was kind of where I would lead with. I'm with you though. Anytime Boston feels like chalk, then I'm gonna be more inclined to be lower on them. But if I did, I would start with the righties. Like I said, Bregman and Story leading the way, and then Sean Newcomb is super chalk. I mean, great matchup, facing this team. But we got notable lefty masher Austin Slater batting 3rd tonight. for the Shy Sox. So give me a little Austin Slater one-off, Nades. 3-1 outfield eligible. Should be a good little price for him.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind it. You can always take one off, especially against a chalkier pitcher. I do think he's probably the most popular spend down option on the slate, especially optimizer were kind of showing that as well when we did the dry run there. Again, I don't love the conditions, but mini stacks are kind of my preferred option in this way. Not going to 5-man stack the Red Sox. I'm just going to take a chance. Davis Martin does have a ground ball lean as well to lefties. So it would, I'm with you there. It'd be the fly ball righties, power righties for me. Bregman looks locked in right now at the plate, dual position eligible. Don't mind him. A little like Bregman Story combination I think is interesting. Christian Campbell, who's got some stolen base upside as well, I think is interesting. And then on the White Sox, sure. I mean, Slater, Vaughn, Sosa, something like that if you need value. I don't love it. Personally, probably not a spot I'm getting to in main teams, but I don't mind your call there with Austin Slater. Just know that when Newcomb gets knocked out of the game, if he does, Slater's probably also getting yanked from that team. He's strictly a splits guy there, but hey, who knows? It's Chicago. They don't have much to play for besides last place in the MLB, so they could do weird stuff there and not pinch hit any of their guys, but we'll see. Next game, Angels, Astros, Blanco on the hill for the Astros here. I don't love this game, personally. The Angels team just found their bats yesterday. I was loaded the wagon on them. They were unowned yesterday on that slate with that Coors Field dud. I always love when Coors Field duds because usually I'm never on Coors Field, so if Coors Field is printing runs, I'm going to lose money. If it fails runs, I'm probably going to make money. That was the case yesterday with the Angels. Now they head into Houston, though, to face a decent real-life pitcher. I just didn't love his upside personally. I think he's fine. I'd probably prefer him over Bradley now, looking at the weather there in Tampa and that ballpark. I don't love it, though, personally. This is a game that I just think hopefully is like a 4-1, 4-2 type game, and just you don't need it for DFS purposes. But sure, you can always play a lower-owned Mike Trout one-off, Soler, O'Hop. At the catcher position, always has a ton of power, but he's getting priced up there at 4,600 now. This Angels team just isn't cheap. The only guy I really have interest in is the GOAT, right? Barry Bonds himself, Kyron Paris. Play him at second base at 3,300. Outside of that, I'm not going to chase. I think if people do chase and watch game logs, they're going to click on the Angels team and see they hit 900 home runs yesterday and probably click them, but I don't think it's a spot for me personally for bats in this game outside of a Jordan one-off.
Yeah, so let's talk Angels a little bit. Yeah, they've turned into like the best home run hitting team. I stack them. They score 0 runs, and then you don't stack them. They hit 9 home runs. So Mike Trout's hitting a home run today. You can go ahead and write that down. Take a picture of it. Put it in your planner there. Trout hits a bomb today. I think the Angels hit 3 bombs off Blanco. These righties should feast off him. Very fastball heavy pitcher. With a slider back over the top of that. These Angels hit that ball very well, Trout being the best of them. Trout hits a home run today. Go ahead and break FanDuel, get that in the books, and then give me some Soler, give me some Ward, maybe a little mini, 1-3-4 on the Angels, and then no Astros for me. Yeah, you said it, Jordan one-off would be about the extent of it.
Yeah, Warren, I don't love it personally. Astros just have not been good. And Jack K, I'm just going to call him K because I don't want to butcher his last name here. I'm terrible with pronunciations and don't want to get any bits made of me.
Yeah, you don't want the police. You don't want the enunciation police getting after you.
Yeah. I mean, he's a ground ball pitcher and he's a righty, and this team has 8 out of 9 righties. The only guy I'd have interest in is Jordan. I mean, could they get to him? Yeah, sure. But I just don't love stacking against ground ball pitchers in general, especially with an offense like Houston, who's been abysmal to start the year. I mean, look at all this red over here. Typically, you're looking for green, right? Green means go, red means stop. I see a lot of red here, so I'm probably not going to stop here and play these guys. I'll tell you that. But Jordan, I think, is fine. Just he's not quite as good against lefties, right, in terms of ground ball rates. And he has like a 9% strikeout rate against left-handed bats. The only issue is the Astros traded away their best lefty to Kyle Tucker over to Chicago, and now they're left with Jordan. So any pitcher that's smart, right, can just pitch around Jordan, to be honest, because the rest of this team is pretty brutal around him. So no stack for me on the Houston side of things. Tigers and the Twins. Here's the little Ham and Nade special here. I got Olsen over Festa straight up. 7,200 on FanDuel for Festa. He's cheaper on DK. Reese Olsen, 7,100. Probably my favorite SP2 option on this slate. I think the matchup's nice. He's looked good to start the year to me. If I were to pick a side in this spot, it'd definitely be some of these lefties from the Tigers. Kerry Carpenter, Riley Green, Colt Keith, McKinstry, Sweeney. They're all cheap. They have some power, and not many people are going to play them. I think more people side on the Festa train than on the Tiger side. So for me, bats would only be some of these lefties, more mini stack. I'm not 5-man stacking the Tigers. But Kerry Carpenter, Riley Green are the two top guys for me. And then Jackson Henry Malloy is he doesn't strike out, puts the ball in play, and he's 2,500 at a third base position that is the second base position of old. I mean, typically we've seen second base just be abysmal, and third base be really good. That's kind of shifting. Third base as of late, outside of like J-Ram, right? If Jose Ramirez is on the slate, third base has just overall been pretty brutal. So I don't mind him at 2,500 as a value guy. But Ham, what are you looking at here, Twins and the Tigers?
Yeah, you most like Reese Olsen and his 20% strikeout rate that you're loving over there. No Olsen for me. I don't really like any of these bats. Just looking at it real quick. I don't see. It would be righties for me if I was going to the Twins. And I don't think I like anybody over there. Then no Tigers. I mean, come on, this Tigers team, to my opinion, not very good. Festa has a pretty high K rate to both sides of the dish. So yeah, give me some Festa, no Tigers bats, and then righties would be my preference. I don't see a confirmed lineup. Where's my boy Royce Lewis? Get my boy Royce Lewis back off the IL. That guy just can't stay healthy, man. But no, I'm not full stacking the Twins, but definitely not playing Reese Olsen either.
I mean, current state, I would probably pitch any right-handed pitcher against these Twins. I mean, looking at these strikeout rates, these guys can't – they couldn't hit water if they fell out of the boat right now. So I'll take my chances at a $7,100 SP2 when you want to pay out for Mets, you want to pay out for Dodgers, right? You want to pay out for these offenses. Yeah, he's not a great strikeout arm, but over the course of the season so far, he's sitting at 26.3%, which is higher than what we've seen last year. So maybe he worked on something over the offseason. I don't know. I haven't dug into that. It's just more of a matchup play. I play matchups in baseball, and we'll take my chances, especially when the price tag is not where it should be on the given slate at hand, I think. Next game on the slate, Cardinals and the Phillies. Aaron Nola, don't think you need to pick on him on this biggest slate. I just didn't love the upside that he portrays. This Cardinals team just doesn't strike out. And Aaron Nola's 9K. If I'm paying $9,000, I'd rather get DeGrom. I'd rather get our boy Pavetta. And then on the Phillies side, you can make the case for some Phillies power bats, right? Kyle Schwarber, Bryce Harper, who hit a bomb the other day. They look decent against righties. Don't love it. I just don't like picking on Palante a ton. I just think he manages the game. But where are you going here? Do you have any interest in any of these hitters here? Palante is an extreme ground ball rate pitcher, so I don't love stacking against ground ball guys. But like I said, Phillies do have some guys that can get the ball in the air to kind of offset that. I just don't like a full stack against the ground ball pitcher.
Yeah, I learned from the best. Don't ever stack against a full ground ball pitcher. Just looking at some of the stuff, I'm with you. I'm not picking on Nola. And then on this Phillies side, Palante strikes out about 19%, but he is. You want to talk about extreme ground ball? You're not getting good wood on many of those balls he throws up there. I mean, it would be the guys at the top of the lineup, right? The Schwarbers, the Turners who can get you stolen bases. Just trying to look and see. Nobody for me, Nades, on this Phillies team. And then Nola, I respect Nola too much in the way he handles lefties to stack any of those guys. I'm sorry, righties, not lefties. So no Cardinals for me either.
Yeah, I mean, 73%, almost 74% ground ball rate to left-handed hitters over 239 plate appearances. It's a pretty damn good sample size. And then to righties, it's even up over 55 or over 50%, excuse me. So it's not the spot. I think, again, another spot that we'll have times that we can play the Phillies. Could they do it? Yeah, this offense is potent. It just you're kind of banking on maybe a walk, right? He does have a little control issues to lefties. So a guy like Bryson Stott, Brandon Marsh, if they're in the lineup at the back half, maybe they get on. Bryson Stott can steal second, Trey Turner, or something like that. It's just typically not how I play DFS, and I'm just gonna. If the Phillies beat me here tonight, they beat me. I'll get my fair share of the Phillies when it's middle of the summer and wind's blowing out there in the East or something, and I can just watch Kyle Schwarber hit 3 home runs, something like that. Next game on the slate, Rockies and the Padres. Here's the chalk picture of the slate, right? Pivetta against these Rockies. Coming out of Coors here. Rockies got kind of mowed down by the abysmal Brewers pitching staff, starting pitching staff in Coors Field. Now they come and face Nick Pivetta. Not looking very good here as a spot to really avoid Pivetta, I'll tell you that. And then on the Padres side, I don't mind some Padres, but with the injuries that they're seeing, I mean, I don't know if Cronenworth's going to be in there. He got hurt. He might be in there. He's projected to be in there. I mean, against a decent enough real-life pitcher in German Marquez, it's not like we're going in and playing him for DFS, but, I mean, he's not the worst pitcher in the world. Padres stronger offense than he is, in my opinion, so maybe some interest, but again, just not a great spot for bats. I definitely have more interest in the Padres. No Rockies for me, even as leverage. I just don't think you need to go there on a 12-game slate. Not something I'm going to be doing either, even with Pivetta being, I don't know, 50, 60% owned probably in some of the smaller field single entry stuff.
Yeah, you nailed it. No Rockies for either one of us. Marquez coming off TJ surgery last year, I believe, making his third start this season. Kind of been up and down. Can't strike out either side. I think the top 5 in the Padres, if you wanted to stack them up, I think they'll come in lower owned. I would prefer the lefties against Marquez, which is the Cronenworth if he's in there, Arise if he's in there as well, which he will be batting second. So, yeah, give me those lefties and then stack them up with those righties if you want to do that.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Cronenworth would probably be my favorite bat in that lineup if he's in there, just with the power and the price point at a weak second base position. So he'd probably be the guy I'd be most interested in. If Gavin Sheets is in there, he's a value bat in the outfield with some power as well, having a pretty good start to the season as well there. Next game on the slate, Brewers and Arizona. Erod on the hill, Quintana on the hill. Roof, I would assume, is going to be closed tonight in Arizona because it's about 100 degrees outside. Brewers' first game out of Coors, facing a decent pitcher. I don't love it. I'm not going to really go to any of these Brewers. But Quintana, on the other hand, we've seen this guy a million times. I think he's over 2,000 innings in his career. Just a kind of a journeyman, right? Just goes out there, does his thing. Not going to strike out a ton of guys. He's not going to really walk a lot of guys. He keeps the ball on the ground, right? Ground ball guy. D-backs, I think, are fine. They always have upside any slate. I don't love picking on bullpen games, especially if this game is fairly close. Brewers can use their good relievers. They do have a really good bullpen in general. The back half of their bullpen's not great, as we saw. But they do have good bullpen arms in there. If Quintana can get us to 5-6 innings and just kind of work his thing and keep the ball on the ground and just get outs, I think it's going to be tough sledding here for these D-back stacks. But again, that's a big if. And if he gets knocked out early, they're going to not go to their good relievers. They're going to use the relievers that gave up 50, 60 runs to the Yankees opening weekend. So Suarez, I think, is fine. Perdomo, it'd be more the righties for me first, and then the lefties. I think any D-back stack, like I put in the slate plan, you should include Gurriel, Grichuk, and Suarez. That's who you start with, and then filter in around them against the lefty. But not one of my favorite spots. It's just more of a default spot because I don't like a lot of hitting on this slate. So you have to play some people. I think D-backs make that stack.
Yeah, no, you nailed it. I mean, it's notable lefty masher, Eugenio Suarez, Grichuk. We got him slated to bat cleanup, I believe. And then, yeah, I mean, you talk about first game out of Coors. It's always different. Erod, I think you were higher on Erod than I was. He's just such a low strikeout kind of guy, but this is the type of matchup where I think he would succeed, right? First game out of Coors, it would be like a Rhys Hoskins. I don't hate as a one-off. If Rhys is batting cleanup, I certainly don't mind Rhys Hoskins batting cleanup tonight.
Yeah, I mean, Erod's has better numbers when you filter last 30 days. I mean, he's sitting at a 42% strikeout rate in 41 plate appearances, whereas you look at last season, he was sitting at 21%. Do I think he's pitching a little over his head right now? Yeah, absolutely. But do I think he's just naturally just going to fall off a cliff against a team that struggles against lefties, especially coming out of Coors? I don't think so. So I think at his ownership in tournaments, right there in that range, I think he has upside personally, and I think he should have some run support behind him as well, which typically usually increases their leash a little bit. And if he's pitching well, they're going to let him go, I think. And he's got a really good bullpen behind him as well that could keep him in line for the win. So I think Erod's a pretty solid play. I'll be targeting my Brew Crew here all season against the lefty, and Erod showed me pretty good stuff over the course of the start of this season. Even at home, he's sitting about a 24% K rate. And you got some guys at the top of the lineup there that have a lot of strikeouts for the Brewers here. Next game on the slate, Bryce Miller, DeGrom. Easy cross-off spot here. I think you could easily pair these two pitchers together in teams, right, and just go into this pitcher's ballpark here. Both these teams have not been great. DeGrom, ton of strikeout upside. Bryce Miller, not the greatest strikeout arm by any means, but it's the pitcher, it's the ballpark, and it's the Rangers team that I just haven't loved to start the year. So I'm on the pitchers here. No bats for me in this one.
Yep. You go into Saber Sim, you go to this game, you hit the checkbox, you take a 13-game slate down to a 12-game slate, down to an 11-game slate with the rain. It's now an 11-game slate. Take the Rangers, take the Mariners out of your playing pool. Got two very good pitchers. Got one very bad ballpark. You move on, make it an 11-game slate, Nades.
Amen. Absolutely. But where you don't is with these last two games. I'll tell you that right now. Starting with this one, the most popular game on the slate. However, all the ownership is going to condense on these Mets here. And nobody's really talking about any of these Athletics here against gas canning. I've picked on this guy all last year. He's burned me a couple times, but more times than not, I get the better end of that stick. And I'm going to be on these Athletics here. I love the Oakland side of this game, or Athletics, I should say, Sacramento, whatever you want to call them. I'm just calling them the A's. How about that? Give me these lefties for the A's here. Sotterdong, if I remember correctly, I think he's tied with some guy by the name of Aaron Judge, who's pretty good at baseball so far in home runs. To start the season, it's probably a product of the Cracker Jack Park that he's playing in. He's not playing in the Coliseum where JP Sears was a good pitcher there because he's a fly ball guy, right? And fly balls in the Coliseum compared to this new park that they're playing at, quite a different story. So obviously the Mets, really, really good plays. No surprise. Don't need me to tell you that. Ham doesn't need to tell you that. You run any optimizer, they're getting slammed in. 5-man stacks. I mean, on the dry run, almost 70% of 5-man stacks came from this Mets team because you can afford two top-end pitchers with this 5-man Mets stack because, again, it's a large slate. There's ways that you can make cheap mini stacks, make them fit. I like the athletic side a lot more, though, in tournaments personally, and starting with the lefties and then add in the Brent Rookers, the Langleirs of the world, Jacob Wilson, who just continues to put the ball in play. I mean, he's got a 0% strikeout rate on the season against right-handed pitching. I think he has it's some crazy number of consecutive at-bats without a put-out. So I think the A side of this game is a lot more intriguing personally for me in tournaments than what the Mets side is.
Yeah, you said it. Lefties for the A's. I love them in tournaments as a way to get different. And then our lefty master boy, Mark Vientos, I think is a great play. Should be lower owned. What we have him penciled in at what? Down in the
20-ish% range.
Yeah. Clean up. Yeah, so Vientos, obviously love him. Alonso, Lindor. I mean, you can't go wrong with the Mets, but in tournaments you can certainly fade them. It's a Coors Field. It is Coors Field, right? It's a Cracker Jack box, as you alluded to. It's going to be popular all season, and you got to lean into that a little bit tonight because you got a bad pitcher, a fly ball pitcher in Sears, then your boy Gas Canning who's going to get absolutely lit up. Lede, Soderstrom, Rooker, Langeliers, yeah, you name it. Let's roll with it.
Yeah, and you get the wind blown out too. I mean, you got 12-mile-an-hour wind blowing straight out to left field. Temperatures in the 60s. Everything points to this game just going nuke. I think an interesting way to do this would even to be game stacking it. I just don't think I think that's one way to get different when you're playing the Mets is grab 3 A's on the other side and just grab all your hitters from this spot and just hope this game goes over the total like it has almost every time this season. And I think, especially on a larger slate, the game stack in particular is going to be lower owned. And that's how I would do it. And I put the A's as probably my favorite 5-man stack on the slate, given their ownership and their upside here against the pitcher who I just don't mind ever picking on in Griffin Canning. Last game on the slate, Cubs and the Dodgers. You talk about another decent hitting environment on the slate is here in LA, which we don't get too much in Dodger Stadium. Temperatures in the 70s, upper 60s by the end of the game, and 5 to 8 mile an hour winds blowing straight up to kind of right center field-ish. And you get the Dodgers, who are not really going to get ownership outside of Ohtani, who carries ownership every time he's on the slate. Matthew Boyd's a solid enough real-life pitcher. Yamamoto, solid enough real-life pitcher. But the Cubs, I don't care if they're playing Cy Young himself right now, how they're playing and how they're swiping bases. I think it's fine. Their price points are a little bit more expensive than what I like. Yamamoto can get wild at times. I don't think you really need to pick on him personally. And then Matthew Boyd, more of the same. But again, this Dodgers team is just a gauntlet. I mean, they just get to you so many ways. And even if you get in the 6th, 7th inning, I know far too well those late inning Dodgers can be scary, right? And cost you lots of money or win you lots of money if you play them here. So I have interest in this Dodger stack, especially because they are expensive. They're going to be low owned. And again, it's just probably the best offense in baseball, to be honest. So what's your take here to round out the slate, Dodgers and the Cubs?
Yeah, I'm not as high as you. It would be Mookie one-off for me. Teoscar Hernandez hits a home run every game. It'd be the righties for me against this Southpaw and Boyd, but not full stacking it. 8-run total. Friday night, late night, Dodger hammer never is on the winner. So one-offs only for me. No Cubby Bears. I like Yamamoto.
Yeah, T.O., Will Smith, Tommy Edman, all smash left-handed pitching, as you can see here. Mookie Betts, he's pretty good at baseball last time I checked as well. Ohtani, lefty is always going to be pretty low owned, I would say, and he's $100 cheaper than Aaron Judge, which I like as well. I have more interest in the Dodgers than it seems like you do. And again, I like when we disagree here on the show. Give the people a little friendly banter back and forth. Takes us to the favorite segment of the show, Ham. About the only thing you got right last Friday was your home run call. So let's run it back and see if you can back up these hot takes that you had this show. So hey, when those go south, at least you can rely on that home run pick that you gave out. So where are you going to hit a bomb here tonight?
I'm going to ask you because I got 4. I got 4 guaranteed. Like these guys are
okay. Give the people so that I can get in the car and hurry up down to Illinois so I can place in the parlay and hopefully get rich on it.
I've already given you Mike Trout. That's a lock. Mike Trout definitely hitting a home run. He's going to hit a same-game parlay home run with Yordan Alvarez. And then my 2 long shots, Luis Garcia and Rhys Hoskins, both go yard tonight. Play those 4. Retire from work tonight. You never have to work another day in your life.
Rhys Hoskins?
Yeah, is that his name?
Did I hear that right? Rhys Hoskins for the Brewers.
Yeah, that guy. Batting cleanup.
I mean, that dude couldn't hit a wiffle ball if it was put on the tee. I'll tell you that right now, the way this season has started. But hey, all right, 4 guarantee. You heard it out there, folks. Run, and any ticket that doesn't cash with that parlay, Ham said he will pay it out himself for giving out the guarantee on this show. I'm not going to a guy by the name of Rhys Hoskins. I'll tell you that, number one. I'm going to my favorite stack of the night in tournaments, and I'm giving you a combo pack. I'm going Tyler Soderstrom and Shea Langeliers. They should hit back-to-back in the lineup. Hopefully they go back-to-back over the wall. If not, I just need both of them throughout the 9 innings or 8.5 innings, whatever they're playing out there because maybe this Mets team fails as chalk, right? And they don't hit it in the bottom of the ninth. I'm going to the Athletics. Langeliers, Soderstrom, both hitting a bomb. That's going to do it for this show. Ham, any closing remarks to go out on a bang here? You already gave out your guarantee. We'll see how that comes through. But any closing remarks for the people out there? Who do they need to play to win tonight in their lineups?
Yeah, I think get Jordan in your team. I think he really goes off tonight. They're gonna have a tough time getting him out when he's not hitting it over the wall. Like you said, they're going to be walking, pitching around him. He's going to not steal any bases, but he's going to get some runs, get some points walking. He's going to hit a bomb. So give me some Jordan, and then I think you got to put in. I think you got to put in one of the two pitchers, right? In Pivetta and or Bradley. You're a little lower on Bradley than me, but I still like Bradley taking on this crackerjack offense in the hot Atlanta Braves.
Yeah, I like that. And like I said, I mean, I think an interesting way to go tonight is just avoid your Met stacks with Pivetta. I think if you do that in general, you're going to be different enough with two chalkier plays that are all they're both really good plays, but I just don't want to play them together. I don't want to be the same as everyone else. And I think my way to the top in tournaments tonight is going to be the Rays and the Athletics. I'm attacking ballparks. I'm attacking weather. And I just don't see the field adjusting right now. I'm seeing these Rays all sub 5% owned against a guy who just doesn't strike out anyone. He's got an expected ERA of 8.44 to start the season here. So I like the Rays. I like the Athletics. I think you're going to need those stacks in tournaments, hopefully. That's the way I'm playing. And I like DeGrom at the top end. So that's going to round out the show. Appreciate everyone tuning in. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Helps us out a ton. And if you're looking for the best spot to be for DFS content and the most affordable spot, our guys kept the code running in honor of our boy DGen. DGen75 gets you $75. This is running through the weekend with the big pay-per-view MMA card. We'll have you covered there. Ownership, projections, the slate plan, everything. We have Masters coverage for rounds 3 and 4 coming up on the weekend here. And obviously MLB, you got everything else going on. $24 for the first month. You get all access to all of those sports going forward here. And like I said, you get that showdown content for the Masters, which has really big prize pools for rounds 3 and 4. If your 6 out of 6 rate is dead on the weekend long Masters, jump in those showdown streets and see if you can get some of that money back. That's going to do it for Ham. I'm Nades. Good luck tonight in those contests. Hopefully you guys have a good weekend and cash those guaranteed parlays that Ham has given out. We'll catch you guys on Monday. Peace.